Thank you. Good evening and welcome to this session of the live virtual coaching classes organized by the Board of Studies of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. Just give me 1 minute. Yes, while I check. Yeah. Yes. So, in the last class, we were seeing topic relating to prospectus, and we came right up to the types of prospectus, listing in a stock exchange and stuff like that. Now, today, we are going to get into another very interesting and very important concept, which is misstatements in prospectus. Okay. So a lot of people have been wishing me. I thank all of them again, as usual. Those who have wished me, I would rather not call by name. So Mr. Abdul is asking a question that is relevant to chapter 2. So today we will not take it up. In chapter 3, I will find out what this is and I will try to answer. Kindly raise questions relating to prospectus as priority, and then we can go for answering outside of the current topic questions, right? Now, we already saw that the prospectus is an invitation to the public for subscribing to securities. It's an invitation. Okay. Therefore, every statement made therein should be true and correct. You cannot make a false or incorrect or inaccurate statement. Any such false or incorrect or inaccurate statement is a misstatement. Okay, misstatement. Now, similarly, suppose you are expected to provide certain information and you do not provide it, you fail to provide it, omit to provide it. Omission of material facts would also be a misstatement. What is material would differ from case to case. Omission of material facts would also be a misstatement. Something which is so fundamental that it would change the decision of the person, but it is not told, would be a material fact which is omitted. For example, you are going to look for a groom for a female relative, close female relative. You are talking to the people. They tell you many good things about that groom. Is well employed, handsome. So you go there and you see he is very handsome. You check up his employment, highly well employed boy, etc., etc. Then later on the marriage goes through, and then you discover that he is deaf. He can't hear. He is a deaf person. See, whether this is a material omission, obviously, because if you had known that the person is deaf, in spite of that, if you prefer to get that boy as a groom, it's different. But not telling it is an omission. Omission of material fact would also be a misstatement. I'm giving example because whenever we are trying to sell a product or whenever you are trying to promote something, we will make only positive statements about it. We will not make negative. But the format of the prospectus is designed in such a way that many information which is normally not revealed would have to be revealed as part of that prospectus. So that in those cases, not telling is also a misstatement. Omission is also a misstatement. In case there is any misstatement in the prospectus, so heavy penalty or heavy liabilities are there. There are a lot of liabilities that you have to bear. Okay, both civil or criminal. Okay, I'm sure you know the difference between civil law and criminal law. When there is a contract, where there is a breach of contract, or where there is a failure to disclose things, there will be a monetary loss. Compensating the persons who are affected for their monetary loss is civil liability. I rely on your statement. I rely on the statement made in the prospectus. Based on that statement, I have invested my money. Later on, it appears, it is discovered that the statement is false or misleading or inaccurate. Then, or some material facts have been omitted. Because of that, I suffer losses. Then it is the duty of the people who have made that false statement to compensate me for my loss. This is called civil liability. So there is a civil liability when there is a misstatement in prospectus. In addition to that, suppose the statement made is false, misleading, with intention to deceive the public, a false or misleading statement has been made, then that is a fraud. Then it is also a crime. Okay, because not only are those people who have invested their money, they are losing, but society at large is threatened by these people. When a person commits a fraud, he is committing offense against one person to whom he is telling the lie, and against society itself, because such a person, if he is allowed to continue, he will be a threat to society. Therefore, there is also a criminal liability, means penalty, means prosecution, means putting him in jail. That is called criminal liability. Punishment by law for violating the law is criminal liability. In the case of misstatement in prospectus, there is a civil liability and also a criminal liability, right? So both the liabilities are there. What we are now going to see is what is the nature of the liability, when the liability will arise, more importantly, whether there are any defenses, whether it is possible for a person to escape from the liability by showing something. Okay, so misstatement in prospectus and defenses. Defense means something that you prove, some proof that you give by which it is shown that you are not liable. Okay, that is called defense. Criminal liability arises under Section 34. So, Section 34 provides for criminal liability. Okay. To show that there is a criminal liability, you have to prove that there is mens rea. Mens rea is a Latin term. Mens rea means guilty mind. Intention. There was an intention to tell a lie to people and thereby make money. Okay, that is called mens rea, guilty mind. For example, presenting false set of accounts in the prospectus. See, in the prospectus, you have to give the last 5 years audited accounts. Now, if you present accounts which are false, which are not true, then with intention to show huge profit, to justify your valuation, okay, that is a guilty. I'm giving an extreme example. Today, such activities are going to be very, very difficult. Unless there is a collusive fraud, unless there is a collusion. Collusion means the auditor and the company are colluding, coming together, wherein the auditor agrees to certify false accounts. Okay. Now, unless such collusive fraud is there, today it is very difficult for you to get away with false accounts, because there are so many ways. No auditor would ever do it, first of all, because it is more than his thing. You know, whatever you pay him, it is not worth the problems that will happen, right? But for example, if an expert other than an auditor is giving a false statement about feasibility of the project he says is feasible. Based on that, people believe and invest. For example, you're going to get into newer and newer technologies in the next 10 years. Now, nobody really knows whether these technologies will work. Sometimes some expert may say this technology is viable. Based on that, people will invest money. Suppose later on it is shown that the technology is not a real technology at all. then the expert has made a false statement or a misstatement based on which we have invested in this company. Therefore, that expert is liable for criminal liability for misstatement in prospectus. Okay. Whenever there is a criminal liability, the Criminal Procedure Code of 1973 will become applicable. The procedure laid down there will be applicable. Police will be involved. There will be an arrest, remand. Then he can come out on bail. And thereafter, again, the case will proceed till he is found guilty. Then he may be arrested, or there may be a huge fine that he has to pay. Okay? This is called criminal liability. Offense is regarded as committed against the state, against the society represented by the government, the state government or whatever the government. Here the word state means the country, the government. Okay? You are committing an offense against the government, which is representing the people. So this is the criminal liability. In fact, that is why if you read US criminal decisions, US in the United States, there they will actually say people versus so and so. The case itself will be people of the state of California versus so and so, the criminal. People are filing that. On behalf of the people, the prosecutor is doing it. So people versus, that's how it will be. So in a way, criminal liability, the prosecution is there. It represents the people. Because if you allow one fraud to succeed and go away, society itself is endangered. That man may again commit a fraud. So once a fraud is discovered, it is the duty of government to protect society by punishing him, making him an example, thereby dissuading him, thereby convincing him, thereby preventing him from committing fraud again. Right? Civil liability is different. Because of the action of this person, based on his false statement, people have lost money. There is a loss or damage. This is an essential condition. There should be some loss or damage for which there should be compensation. This will be a civil suit for claim for damages. Therefore, the Civil Procedure Code will apply. The Civil Procedure Code 1908 is applicable. The Civil Procedure Code is the code that lays down the procedure to be followed while filing a plaint or while filing a claim before a court. How it should be defended. All that, how evidence should be taken. All that is given in the Civil Procedure Code, right, of 1908. You'll notice that even the CRPC is actually older than 1973. It was extensively amended in 73. The original CRPC is older than even the Civil Procedure Code. Both are pre-independence enactments. Both are equally old enactments drafted by Macaulay. Okay, I don't know if that is due to the mantra or not, because I'm also in a place that is a little bit far away. Let us hope that it is not too difficult for you to follow. Okay. If a company has incorporated 2 years before and they want to issue shares, how they can submit 5 years audited financial statements? They cannot. Correct? So what is the conclusion that you get, Mr. Abdul? You can answer your own question. If a company has only completed 2 years, they cannot submit 5 years audited financial statements. Am I correct? So what should they do? Okay, this is a topic that you will study when you come to final. That is called listing conditions or conditions for listing. The SEBI has prescribed that if the company has not completed 5 years, then it cannot come for listing. If it is an existing company, unless there is one exception. It may be promoted by a group which is already well established, and that group may have a good track record. Then this company which is in that group can be permitted to come out with a public issue, even though it has not completed 5 years. But short of that, A standalone company which has not completed 5 years cannot come for a public issue. That is the unerring answer which has to be given to you. It cannot submit 2 years financial statements because there are many conditions to be satisfied for public issue. So, for example, dividend should be declared in 3 out of the last 5 years. Like that. A lot of consistent dividend track record like that. So 5 years is necessary. Not only under the Companies Act, okay? Not only under the Companies Act, but also under the SEBI listing obligations and disclosure requirement. Under that also we have to do this. Okay. Okay. Why should I? Because Mr. Abdul himself is telling that I have not said the mantra. So maybe that is true. Let me go back to the first slide and again chant. Sahana bhavatu, sahanau bhunaktu, saha viryam karavavahai, tejasminavaditamastu, ma vidvishavahai. So ma vidvishavahai, let me pray very sincerely that today, because today is the last class for prospectus, let us pray that everything should go on and we should think. Okay. In fact, the prayer that I just now stated, I'm not trying to compare. Okay, the Basmala is even more powerful. The Bismillah Rahman Rahimi is even more powerful. It's an invocation of the Supreme, okay, to come and be there. And so such a prayer to the Almighty, similar. Okay, when you invoke Supreme Power for supporting you. Okay, fantastic. So we have seen criminal liability, we have seen civil liability, right? Section 30, so 34, 35, 36 is a standalone section, which is included here. 36 is a standalone section that is included here because it is connected with this area. Okay? This is nothing to do with prospectus because prospectus is already covered in 34 and 35. 36 is standalone. For it is meant to punish people who make any reckless or false statement. Any person who either knowingly or recklessly means without having any consideration for the reality, without having any caution, lack of prudence. A reckless person does not have any prudence. Okay. So knowingly or recklessly, knowingly, he knows that he is making a false statement and he makes it, or not carrying it, he makes it. That is recklessly. He has no botheration. He makes a statement and he goes. Recklessly makes any statement, promise or forecast, which is false, deceptive or misleading, or deliberately conceals any material facts. Okay. Now, I may inform you that the share market will be going up in the next 3 years. So I may be informing you that 24, 25, 26 will be peak of the stock market. Now, this could be a false statement. This could be deceptive. But what is my intention? My intention is just to make a statement, that's all. But if my intention is to induce you to enter into any agreement with me, for example, I'm telling you, market is going to go up. It's going to be highly bullish market. I know how to make money in that market. Give me money. Give me 1 lakh rupees. I will, on your behalf, I will invest. I will assure you 45% return. Over the next 3 years, I will assure you 45% return. This is a reckless or intentional misleading statement, false and deceptive. Okay. See, it could be reckless. Why? Because I might honestly believe that it will go up. Without bothering, I'm telling, it's a reckless statement. What it is, if intention is to induce another person to enter into or to offer to enter into any agreement for or with a view to acquiring, disposing or subscribing for or underwriting securities. So if you are using this false or misleading or deceptive statement to induce another person to enter into an agreement for or with a view to acquiring, disposing of, subscribing for, or underwriting securities. Okay. So, or any agreement for the purpose or the pretended purpose of which is to secure a profit to any parties from the yield of securities or by reference to fluctuations in the value of securities. Okay. Very dangerous, because once the share market is bullish, and believe me, this is going to happen in 2025, when all sorts of frauds and rascals are going to come out onto the internet and WhatsApp and try to take your money by saying, market will invest. I will tell you 10 scripts. You invest through me and I will, whatever profit we will share. All sorts of nonsense they will tell. Sensex will go up. I know how to play the Nifty. So if you give me 5 lakhs, I will play the Nifty. Any such agreement is not permitted under Section 36. Any agreement for or with a view to obtaining credit facilities from any bank or financial institution. They cover this also here. So, any method by which somebody is collecting money for buying and selling shares. Or he says, give me the money, I will take care of it. 3 years later, I'll give you 45%. Or whatever is the change in the value, plus I'll give you another 3% like that. Whatever. Any such agreement, if it is using false, deceptive or misleading statements, then such a person shall be liable for action under Section 447. We are going to see 447 very shortly. Very heavy penalty. See, recently I was in a conference when a person very well known but not very known called me to, he was setting up a stall. You see, in usually conferences, there will be stalls. He had a stall. It was not a professional conference. It was a social organization. And there was a person, he called me and he said, Srikanth, come. Srikanth, if you give me 5 lakhs, I will invest it in Bitcoin, or we are having a Bitcoin scheme and you will get huge money. You will get 5 times, put your money. And he gave me a sheet of a pamphlet. I went through it and I was thinking, clearly Section 36, except that the problem is Bitcoin, whether it is a security or not, nobody knows. Is Bitcoin a currency or is it a security, etc. Okay. So that is why he is escaping. Suppose the same thing he were to do with shares. I can take the paper and complain to the SEBI, and next minute MCA and SEBI will come down on this company. It's a company, private limited company. They would have, the directors would be immediately arrested and liable under Section 447. So we have to be very, very careful what we put in such pamphlets and all that. Okay. So if Reliance's subsidiary want to go for public issue, so the subsidiary company's financial statement should be given, or whole Reliance Group's financial statements. That depends on what you're trying to do. But since a group is promoting it, the group company's financial statements also will be called for. See, that is the disclosure. So the group company's financial statement also, the promoter's financial statement also will have to be given, because Reliance will become the promoter. Therefore, the promoter also has to give his financial statements. Okay. And the stake of the promoter, everything has to be given, right? Now, we are seeing sections in sequence. That is why later, when I come to the consequences of misstatement, I will talk about 447 and all that. Okay. Class action by affected persons. Class action. You will, when you come to final, you will again see this when you come to oppression and mismanagement. Here, class action is meant to protect people who have suffered loss as a group or as a class. See, a suit may be filed or any other action may be taken under Section 34 or Section 35 or 36 by any person, group of persons, or any association of persons affected by any misleading statement or the inclusion or omission of any matter in the prospectus. I'll give a simple example. Dubacor Limited is going for a public issue. They make all sorts of misleading statements. Okay. The public read the prospectus containing the misleading statements. They believe it and they invest in that company. Okay. They honestly believe it. Okay. Maybe some people told them this is a very risky company, management is not a good management. Some people wrote a review in Business Line. They didn't read that. Rather, they read Times of India and Economic Times, where these two papers would have given very glowing report about this or false. Again, misleadingly, they would have given and they will go for it. And based on that, they have invested in it. They have relied on the false statement made by these people and they have done it. About 10,000 people have invested. Individually, they would have invested 10,000, 20,000, 30,000. All of them are busy people, employed, chartered accountant, company secretary, all that. They don't have time for all this type of thing. So, to take action under 35, 36 and all, going for a civil suit and all, they don't have time. But some retired people are there who have also invested their hard-earned money in this company, Dubacor Limited. Okay, these fellows have nothing better to do. So what they will do, they will form a group, an association, and that group of persons or association of persons will file a suit on behalf of all the affected people, not only themselves. They will file it as a class action. Means about 10 of them will go form an association, and that association will file on behalf of all the affected persons. The case will go on, and at the end of the case, the court may pass an order favoring the affected persons. They might say the company has caused this, so the promoters, the people who authorized the issue of the prospectus, they have to pay damages of 25 crores. How they will pay it? They will catch the fellow and collect it from him. Then it will be kept in a separate bank account called escrow account. From there, this association, now it will have a list of people from the company it will collect, or from the SEBI it will collect, who are all affected by this Dubacor Limited issue. Those who have applied for the public issue, their list will be taken. And a letter will be sent or public advertisement will be given. Anybody who has suffered a loss, kindly come, prove your loss and take your money. Anybody can come and make a claim, show that he is one of the class and he will get a share of the compensation. Though the case was filed only by a few people, it will benefit the whole class. This is called class action, where action is done by even one person or group of person or association of person on behalf of all. Okay? Yeah, many wishing. I take this opportunity to wish them all. Lakshmi, Parthasarathi, all of you have wished. A lot of people have come. Nice to see so many good evenings. Thank you very much for your being here. Hope the connectivity is good. We know what is criminal liability. Now let us see when the criminal liability will arise. You will notice that the route, ROUTE route, for criminal liability will different from civil liability. When will the criminal liability arise? The prospectus is issued, circulated or distributed under Chapter 3. That prospectus which is issued or circulated or distributed includes any statement which is untrue or misleading in form or context in which it is included. So it may be exactly untruthful, or it could be said in such a way that it is misleading. Ardha Satya. We have this term, Ardha Satya. Ardha Satya is half truth, meaning the entire truth is not told, so that it is misleading. Or any inclusion or omission is likely to mislead. Any inclusion or omission is likely to mislead. For a moment, I want you to come with me to the Kurukshetra war. Not to Kurukshetra, which is near Delhi, no. Not now the current Kurukshetra. The original battlefield of Kurukshetra. Drona is fighting the battle. Very powerful. He has to be defeated somehow. He will fight only with Arjun. Only Arjun can kill him. But even Arjun is unable to fight his own teacher and win. Because this is the man who taught all of them. So how to kill Drona? How to kill him? The only way to do it is, if something happens to his son Ashwatthama, he won't fight after that. Therefore, Krishna tells, rather Yudhishthira is told by Krishna, you go and tell him Ashwatthama is dead. So Yudhishthira says, how can I tell Ashwatthama is dead? He's alive and fighting in the other part of the battlefield. I've seen him. How can I say that? I cannot tell a lie. This is what Yudhishthira says. But then Krishna says, you go and tell him, Ashwatthama, the elephant, is dead. Ashwatthama hataha kuncharaha. You tell him that Ashwatthama, the elephant, is dead. I'll take care of the rest. And he made Bhima kill an elephant called Ashwatthama. He made Bhima kill an elephant called Ashwatthama. There was an elephant called Ashwatthama which was killed. So Yudhishthira immediately rushes his chariot to Drona's area and he shouts, Ashwatthama hataha. Ashwatthama is dead. But he says Kunjaraha. At that time, Krishna blows the conch. He blows his conch, Panchajanyam. He blows it. And Drona is not able to hear what was told after that. All he hears is Ashwatthama is dead. With that, he lays down his bow, goes into a sort of a coma come meditation, at which point in time Arjun kills him. That is the story. Okay, thanks for listening to the story. Coming back, are you able to see an omission which is likely to mislead? Okay, so this is an example taken right from the Mahabharata, where a statement is made, there is an omission, not by Yudhishthira, but by Krishna's blowing the conch. That omission is likely to mislead. So these are all examples of, that is, not telling the whole truth, partial truth, Ardha Satya. That is called misleading statements. Okay? Any such statement, if it is made, who is liable? Every person who has authorized the issue of prospectus. So directors, future director who is named in the prospectus and who has given his consent. I am repeating, he is not a director today. His name is mentioned as a future director and he has given his consent to inclusion in the prospectus. Okay. Expert. Everybody is liable under this, and the liability is laid out in our great section 447, right? Okay. Can I escape the criminal liability? Yes. You have to show one of two things. One, immateriality. The statement or omission was immaterial. It is so trivial. It does not matter. For example, we have made one statement about the productivity, about the mineral that can be taken out of the mines. Okay. We have stated that in 1 year we can take out 21.5 thousand lakh tons or 21,000 lakh tons. No problem. But actually in the main government report, it is 20,000 or 19,000 or 20,000 like that. Now question, 19 to 21,000 difference, will it change my opinion? Will the projections change? May not change materially. If you are showing that it is immaterial, sir, agreed, it says 19,500 there. I told 21,000. Chalo, is that so material? Will it change your entire opinion about the project? If it will not, then it is immaterial. Then that statement or omission is one type of a defense for criminal liability. Another, honest belief. This is very, very difficult. See, honestly, you should believe that he had reasonable grounds to believe and did, up to the time of issue of prospectus, believe that the statement was true or that the inclusion or omission was necessary. Now, honest belief can be a defense for non-expert. An expert cannot say that. An expert cannot say that. Okay. If you are an expert, how can you say you believed? You should know, yeah. You cannot believe. See, suppose you are a doctor and you tell me something medical. I don't know. I have to believe. But you cannot say I believed. You are a doctor. You should know. Are able to understand? You are a lawyer. You should know. You are a tax consultant. You are a India-wide expert on income tax in this country. You should know. How can you say, I believed that Section 80G will be applicable. I believed that Section 40A will apply like that. How can you say that? Okay. You could have given an opinion, in which case you should have given a disclaimer, right? Opinions are different. But you cannot say, I believe, which is why rarely can experts escape in this route. But non-expert can get out of criminal liability by saying, I relied on an expert. I believed, honestly believed what he said. That's a good defense for a non-expert, which is why you as an expert, you have to be very, very careful when giving such opinion, because you are going to give an escape route. On that ground, they can always stand up and say, I trusted Mr. Petladwala, Kojima, Mr. Abdul, expert, ultimate authority. He has studied so much law, tax, that he knows everything. I believed him. God. Then you are liable as an expert. They are escaping from criminal liability. Okay. So this is the defenses. I told you, we have to study what is the liability. Also, we have to study whether any defenses are there, whether I can escape by doing something. When director relied on expert's report, then director will not be liable. Yes, he has to show that he believed. That is why expert is brought into the whole thing. Yeah. Okay, you have to show that you relied on him. You honestly believed it, and that he had not. And you should also show that he has not withdrawn his consent. Then, to that extent, you are relieving. To that extent, are you able to understand? To that extent, only to the extent of the expert. Okay. Other statements, if any, you are liable. Similarly, suppose any financial statements are there, directors have signed it, right? They are also part of the prospectus. They are also people who have authorized the issue of the prospectus. They are not escaping here because they cannot say, hey, no, chartered accountant has signed, I am not liable. No, because there it's different. It is not an expert's opinion. He has certified the balance sheet. You have also signed. The directors have also signed the balance sheet. To the extent that they have signed the balance sheet, the directors, the company secretary, everybody is liable for that statement. Of course, the auditor is also liable, but others are also liable for any such things. Where you can escape is where there is a straight opinion given by an expert. You have obtained his consent and his opinion. You have reproduced that completely, fully you have reproduced. You are not like Ashwatthama Hatha. You have put the whole thing, whatever is to me. So any person reading it will know. Then if it is shown to be wrong, you can escape. Okay. I hope by this you will understand the importance of signing such documents as a future member of the institute in a, shall we say, assurance, audit and assurance capacity. Be very, very careful before you put your signature on such documents. This statement is not made only for you. I'm making it to myself also because I continue to be in the audit and assurance function. So every time I sign, I have to think, can I sign? Is it correct? Okay. Will it affect anything? No, I can sign. Yeah. PwC, not PwC, the particular partner who signed that balance sheet became liable. He became liable. Of course, see, he went on. In fact, and one more thing, Abdul, that was not an example of prospectus. Shall we get that thing behind us before we continue this discussion? Satyam is not an example of prospectus. Satyam is a totally different example. Got it? Satyam is an example of falsifying the financial statement. Signing false statement, financial statement. Okay. Of course, the principle is the same, but it is not a liability under the prospectus. So it won't, strictly speaking, come in this category. But it is similar, and therefore I will permit you to bring it here. But being students, you might get confused. So Satyam is not an example of prospectus. Satyam was an example where the promoter consistently falsified the books of account and financial statement with or without the knowledge of the auditor, because the auditor's defense in the criminal proceeding against him was, this is exactly what he said. I had reasonable grounds to believe and did up to the time of signing the balance sheet believe that the statement was true. I mean, this is so silly because as a chartered accountant, if you're going to believe what your client says, possibly that is not what you are paid for. In fact, sometimes I tell my clients, I tell my clients, sometimes they say, Mr. Shrikant, why don't you believe me? So I tell my client, look here, Baba, I am a practicing chartered accountant. I am not paid to believe. I am paid to audit. You give me proof, then why should I believe you? I will verify and audit and find it correct and true and fair. I'll give it and go. This is what I tell my client. I will, please believe me. Sir, why should I believe you? Okay. I will only see that I am a chartered accountant, an auditor. I am paid by you not to believe, but to audit. Provide the proof. Next minute, I will sign it and go. Okay, this is how I will talk. So much so that another firm, of course, whether that firm had the right to say this or not, we do not know, because that firm doesn't exist now. Arthur Andersen in Australia, the Australian wing of Arthur Andersen had a bumper sticker which said, in God we trust, others we simply audit. In God we trust, others we simply audit. Now, of course, that firm, just like Mr. Petladwala or Mr. Abdul mentioned about Satyam and PwC, this Arthur Andersen had a problem with Enron. Because of Enron, Arthur Andersen collapsed. There is no more Arthur Andersen. Firm got collapsed. The practice got acquired by EY. And the consulting division, which was huge, went on to become what we now call Accenture. That firm got divided, okay, because of one client, Enron. Okay, so that itself is a subject, these scams and these, auditors' misstatement and all. That itself is a subject. Later on, maybe when we come to audit and auditors, we may talk about it a little more. At last, we come to our good old 447. Okay, now. It's a very, very tough punishment. Should I remember 447? I suggest that you should. Try to remember it, if you can. Where the value of the fraud is less than 10 lakh rupees or 1% of turnover, whichever is less. 10 lakh rupees or 1% of turnover, whichever is less. Okay. Suppose 1% of turnover is 1 crore. Okay. 10 lakhs. Then whichever is less. Okay. The fraud value. Suppose 1% of turnover is 1 crore. Fraud value is 15 lakhs. Will it be covered? Yes. Because fraud is less than 10 lakh rupees or 1% of turnover. Okay. Whichever is less. So this will be more than 10 lakh rupees. So the 1% of turnover is 1 crore, 10 lakh. 10 lakh is less. So this becomes the limit. So if it is more than 10 lakhs, then even though it is less than 1%, it will go to the next slab. But suppose 1% of turnover is 5 lakhs and 10 lakhs, whichever is less. So anything which crosses 5 lakhs itself will come under the first category. Will go to the second category. So it should be less than 10 lakhs or 1%, whichever is less. Then the penalty is up to rupees 50 lakhs or up to 5 years. Up to rupees 50 lakhs or imprisonment up to 5 years. So when it's less than 10 lakhs or 1% of the turnover, whichever is less, the fine is 50 lakhs, but or imprisonment. Why do I stress the word or? Because the promoters, the directors, etc., have some sort of a small advantage or compensation by which they can go for what is known as compounding. They can go to the regional director or the tribunal. In this case, they will go to the tribunal and they can try to get themselves relieved, okay, by compounding this offense. By saying, we will pay the compounding fee, therefore, please do not punish us, please do not pass an order of conviction, and they can try. So compounding is possible only when the offense involves fine or imprisonment, where the offense is punishable by fine or imprisonment. If you see the word and, that means they have to be prosecuted. There is no way it can be compounded under the Companies Act. Okay. Sir, please, Abdul, don't do this study material comparison during my class. If you have some issues, you raise it as a separate query, and I will do, because I'll tell you the reason why. I do not have the study material in my presence now. I do not have it here. So whatever you say about the study material, then I cannot comment about it at this stage. Suffice it to say, what I'm showing here is correct. Okay? Suffice it to say, what I'm showing here is correct. Okay? It is the correct reproduction of the section. Okay? Kindly bear with me. And if you put anything there, I may not react to what you are telling. Okay? So, fraud where it is equal to or more than 10 lakh rupees or 1%, whichever is less, more than, then the minimum amount of fraud, suppose the fraud value of the fraud itself, whatever it is, that entire amount will be the minimum. Maximum will be 3 times the amount of fraud. Whatever was the unfair gain that they made, that will be the amount of fraud. That into 3 will be the fine. And there will be an imprisonment of minimum 6 months and maximum 10 years. Minimum 6 months and maximum 10 years. If you remember, in the last class, around the end of the class, Mr. Abdul, what you did, you said officers are not included like that. Then you yourself said it is included like that. So my humble suggestion is don't put it in the query pad. If you have a doubt, make a note of it in a paper, send it as a separate query to the, you go and do some more research. And if you still think something has been told wrongly in the session, kindly send a query to the institute. Through the proper channel, I will take it. Okay? Because I cannot interrupt the class to verify your statements. You understand my point, Abdulji? Okay. So, no problem. So, kindly, if you have any doubt, make a note of it, send it as a separate query. Okay? In case there is a mistake, I will in the next class, I will say, I'm sorry, and I will correct it. But if it is not, then you yourself will know. Okay? Otherwise, we are wasting time. That is. If it is a regular class, I will have the material in my hand. I can show it to you and all. Whereas this is not possible. Of course, you have one more option, which you can do now also. You can verify section 447 itself in the Companies Act. Just go there and see. You can see. In case there is any amendment, if there is any correction, I will definitely inform you. Okay, that much I will. Suppose that 50 lakhs has become 10 lakhs. I don't know which one has become 20 lakhs according to you. Whatever it is, if there is a change, I will immediately inform. Okay. Now we come to the last point, which is where it involves public interest. Where it involves public interest means if only a few people are affected who are a closed group, okay, not the public at large, then this is the first two. Suppose it's a listed company, then everybody is involved because anybody can buy that share at any time. So, where it involves public interest, then the only extra dimension is the minimum imprisonment is 3 years. Otherwise, everything is the same. No change. But the minimum imprisonment is 3 years. Okay. The word fraud has been defined here in section 447. Fraud in relation to the affairs of a company or any body corporate includes any act, omission, concealment of any fact or abuse of position committed by any person or any other person with the connivance in any manner with intent to deceive. For fraud, you know that for criminal liability and fraud, there should be what is known as mens rea, the culpable state of mind. The intention to deceive should be there, to gain undue advantage from or injure the interest of the company or its shareholders or its creditors or any other person. If the intention is there, there is fraud. Okay? Whether or not there is wrongful gain or wrongful loss. Okay? For example, in the first case, so long as there is a fraud, it will be less than 10 lakhs. 0 is less than 10 lakhs. So even if there is no wrongful gain or wrongful loss, there will be a fine and imprisonment. But what is wrongful gain? Any gain made by unlawful means of property to which the person gaining is not legally entitled. Where a false statement is made and some money is gained, that is an unlawful, wrongful gain. Similarly, Anybody losing by means of unlawful means of property is called wrongful loss. See, my dear friends, Mr. A is making a statement that he will invest money in the stock exchange. He will invest money in the stock exchange. So he induces people to enter into an agreement by which he will give them some profit, okay, from the yield of securities. Okay, and based on that, many people give him money. He has totally collected 20 crore. He invests in the Nifty, okay, based on that. Nifty is a security. He buys Nifty futures and suddenly the market collapses. Totally he has invested a sum of rupees in this activity. He has taken money for about 10 crores. He invested in the market. Believe me, that 10 crore he would have given us a margin and he would have dealt with something like 50 crore, 60 crore position he would have taken. And based on that, he would have made some profit also. It was shown. People will be very, very happy. Suddenly the market will collapse. That point in time, his entire position will become negative. In which case, the loss will be so high that the margin of 10 crores that we gave will be destroyed. Plus, there will be further debt also. Now, suppose somebody comes and asks him, my dear friend, you have made wrongful gain. He will cry. He'll say, where is the wrongful gain? All the money is gone. So what? There is a wrongful loss. Because of your untruthful statement, relying on that, these people invested, they lost money. It was your untruthful statement that caused the loss. So that is a wrongful loss. Okay? You might not have made a wrongful gain, but there is a wrongful loss. So fraud can be due to wrongful gain or wrongful loss. Okay. Now we move on to civil liability. Now here, who is liable? Directors. Okay. At the time of issue of prospectus, what does it mean? Suppose at the time of issue of prospectus, Mr. A was not a director, nor was he named as a future director. Listen to me. Nor was he named as a future director. He was not even in the picture. Later on, he became a director. He won't be liable. Okay. So whoever was a director at the time of issue of prospectus, persons who have authorized themselves to be named in the prospectus as directors. Named. They are not directors, they have named there. Persons who have agreed to become directors in future, they are also mentioned in the prospectus. Okay. Promoter. Named as a promoter in the prospectus. Please remember definition of promoter. A person who is mentioned as promoter. Any other person who has authorized the issue of prospectus. Okay. Expert. All are liable. Yeah. Mr. Thakur is correct. Mens rea needs to be proved in the court of law under the criminal procedure code. When the criminal action is taken, one of the important things you have to prove is in the court only it will happen. Okay. The prosecution will happen in the court. At that time, you have to prove. If a company's turnover is 5 crore and fraud involving is 12 lakhs, if a company is turnover 5 crore, so 1% is 5 lakhs. Fraud involving is 12 lakhs. It will fall under first category or second category or third. See, don't forget third category. If there is a public interest, it will come under the third category straight away. If it is involving public interest, straight away. Okay, come to the third category. But first or second category is what you should ask. Okay, so 1% of 5 crore is 1% of turnover is 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs, whichever is less. 5 lakhs is less. The amount of fraud is more than 5 lakhs. Therefore, second category. It will come under the second category. Hope this is clear, sir. Now, so we have seen civil liability. Who is liable? What is the liability? Please note, in addition to criminal liability, In addition to criminal liability, under Section 36, there is a civil liability to pay compensation to every person who has acted on the basis of a statement or omission in the prospectus and has, as a consequence thereof, sustained loss or damage. So in addition to criminal liability, there is a civil liability to pay compensation to every person who has acted on the basis of a statement or omission in the prospectus and has, as a consequence thereof, sustained loss or damage. The sentence is very, very interesting and important. First of all, if you are going to claim compensation, the person who is claiming compensation should prove that he or she has acted on the basis of a statement or omission in the prospectus. So you should show that he acted on the basis of prospectus. And as a consequence thereof means because of that. I'm using simple English. As a consequence thereof means because of that, he has sustained loss. So he relied on the false statement or omission, and because of that, he suffered loss or damage. Then he is entitled to compensation. This interpretation will, that's all. You cannot say, no, I relied on so-and-so. He is a man of high reputation. Therefore, I relied on him. Sorry. But some defenses are available, as usual. If you have to prove that, having consented to become a director, he withdrew his consent and the prospectus was issued without his authority or consent. See, he gave the consent. Prospectus was not issued. He withdrew his consent. He withdrew. He said, in writing. And he said, please. And see, withdrew his consent. Obviously, if it is oral, how to prove it? So it should ideally be in writing. And you ought to show that the prospectus was issued without your authority or consent. The prospectus was issued without his knowledge or consent, meaning his name, for example, a person who have authorized themselves to be named in the prospectus as directors. See, there is one gentleman, Mr. Gullible. He is going on in his life. These promoters, rascals, they have put his name as a director. And they have forged his signature and shown the consent also to the SEBI. Based on that, they have gone. Now, later on, when there is a misstatement and civil liability, Mr. Gullible should come out and say, look here, it was issued without my knowledge or consent. I'm not aware. Then whose sign is that? It is not my sign. It is a forgery. I can prove it. You prove that it is a forgery. I never knew about this. My name is included. I'm not aware without my knowledge or consent. But you should also show that on becoming aware, I forthwith gave reasonable public notice. See, I saw the prospectus. I saw my name. Immediately, I gave a notice in the public newspaper that I am not connected. It was issued without my knowledge or consent. If you are able to show that, then you are free. Suppose you saw the prospectus, you knew that you have not given your consent, still you kept quiet because thinking, okay, chalo, if anything good comes, I'll take it. Sorry. You should have immediately made a public announcement. I am not connected with that company. I have nothing to do. In fact, this is something that you have to do immediately. Give reasonable public notice, meaning some advertisement in the newspaper. Okay? So that public deemed to have come to know. Nobody can say I didn't know because anything published in a newspaper is a public notice. Everybody is deemed to be aware of it. Are you able to understand? Similarly, there is something called the Official Gazette. Official Gazette is a publication published by the government. Central government has the Central Official Gazette and state government has the State Gazette. Okay? This Gazette is like a notice board. And it is published twice a month it is published by the government. It will contain many official things. For example, if a law has been assented to by the president, then it will be notified in the Official Gazette. This type of advertisement can also be given in the Official Gazette. Once anything is published in the appropriate Official Gazette, if it's a central law, it has to be in the Central Gazette, state law in the State Gazette. Once it is published in the Official Gazette, then automatically it is there again you have doctrine of constructive notice. Nobody can say that it is not known to me. Many times, somebody may change their name. Once they change the name, they should sign an affidavit before the court and swear before the court, and then the name will be changed. But before that, they have to give an advertisement in the official gazette. They should say, I am so and so, I am changing my name. If anybody has an objection, can file. No objection is received, only then they will permit him to change that name. Okay? So any publication in the official gazette is treated as constructive notice. So that is how public notice should be given. Okay. So that withdrawing the consent is, you have to prove it. Yeah, if you're Partsadiji, if you're trying to say it should be by registered post, ideally send it by registered post. Speed post with registered post. Because speed post for immediate and registered. So that you can prove delivery and you can say, I sent it and it was received by you. How can you say you don't know like that? Correct. It should better to go for registered post. Suppose if a person doesn't read the prospectus, but the prospectus is misleading. Yeah, he has to see. But once a prospectus is issued, it is a public document. The presumption is that everybody has read it. So long as it is in the prospectus and he has invested it in that issue, to an extent he is safe. He need not prove that he actually read it. How to prove that you actually read it? How to disprove that you did not read it? Let me put it that way. You are the company. You have to show that I have not read the prospectus. How can you say I have not read the prospectus? It's a public document. Anybody could have read it. I could have read it. So long as you show that you made that investment at the time of public issue, to a great extent you can say that you relied on you read the prospectus. That need not be proved by you. He can claim. Okay, I don't know which Alok is answering. Suppose a person invests, doesn't read the, so that person can claim. He can claim the money from for his loss. Okay. So these are the two defenses. Earlier there was a defense which was there. Now they have combined it into this one defense. I came to know about it and gave reasonable public notice. Suppose the allotment has been made. Suppose the prospectus was issued, allotment is made. Thereafter, you cannot give public notice. You cannot give. Okay? The prospectus is issued. Within the time before the allotment, you have to make the... Oh. There could be a misleading statement purported to be made by an expert. Purported means stated as having been made by an expert. Stated as having been made by an expert. Then, where there is an expert, okay, please note, expert after having given a consent cannot escape. Please understand. No defenses for expert. No defenses for expert. If the expert's opinion contains anything misleading or fraudulent, no defense. Except one defense is always there. You can say, this defense is always there. Knowledge or consent. I'm not aware that my signature was forged like that. Okay? Even if he has not withdrawn it is okay. If you forge somebody's signature and say they made that statement, they can always come and say, anytime he can come and say, look here. He says, I made that statement. Where did I make it? Where is the proof? Show me. Today, our Institute of Chartered Accountants of India has done one great service to members like me who are in audit and assurance. It's a great service. It is called UDIN. I'm sure many of you will immediately go, yes, sir, I know UDIN. You are aware of UDIN. Okay, where whenever I certify anything, it's a certificate or it's a balance sheet or a tax audit report, anything, in my attest function, when I sign it, I will generate what is known as a UDIN. I have a digital signature certificate. Based on that, I will upload the form and I will upload the certificate and I will generate a UDIN. That UDIN is a very, very unique identity number which will be generated, and I have that. That will be mentioned in this certificate. The UDIN will mention the certificate. So suppose I issued the certificate to the bank. You are the customer, you are taking a certificate from me. I have signed it. and I'm issuing it. Subsequently, you give it to the bank. Now the bank is having a doubt whether I gave it or not. They have to go to the Institute website and type in that UDIN. Automatically, my name, my membership number, everything will come. So that they can be assured that I have only signed it. I also cannot deny it tomorrow. Suppose the UDIN is forged or some wrong UDIN is given, not generated for my DSC, some nonsense UDIN. Bank puts it and he finds it, my name is not there. I cannot come into the picture at all. It may be done on my forged letterhead, my forged signature, some wrong UDIN. When they type the UDIN, my number won't come. Nobody's number will come. It's a wrong UDIN like that. That is my greatest protection. In fact, UDIN is generated. I know many of you know what is UDIN. I'm just saying UDIN is a very, very, you are all knowing so many things there. That's why immediately I said, yes, we know, like that. That's why before you even told, I'm telling. But it's the greatest protection. This was not there in those days. I have had a couple of cases where some of our members, their signature was forged and the bank has taken action against them for professional misconduct. How to prove? It took a lot of time. We have to help him. We have to show. Luckily, the disciplinary committee was willing to look at it, etc., etc. It's a very difficult thing. Today, threshold level, it will be gone. You wouldn't show me the UDIN. In fact, I got a telephone call once. I got a telephone call from somebody. Okay. He said, I'm a reporter from so-and-so newspaper, some local vernacular newspaper, local language newspaper. Fellow called and he said, I'm a reporter. We have got a complaint from some public that some people have obtained the licenses from the government by using your certificates, which are false. What have you got to say about them? I said, fantastic. I'm so happy that you called me. All I want from you, you are a reporter. You are saying I have given you a false certificate. Agreed. I'm sure you have a copy of that certificate. Yes, I'm having that certificate. Then you take that certificate and tell me what is the UDIN number. In that certificate, there will be a UDIN number. Kindly inform me what is the UDIN number. Even now you tell me, I will note it down. I will check my UDIN register. In case I have issued such a certificate, it will be in my UDIN register. If it is not in my UDIN register, then Baba, my name might be there, etc., but I have not issued it. That donkey did not know about UDIN also. He's a reporter. He's a fraud. See, these guys they think if you are afraid, they will say, we won't publish it in the newspaper. How much money you will give? Why I'm telling you, that type of frauds are running around. And they are press people. Third-rated fellows, they are press people. See, maybe he is not even a press fellow. He's a fraud. Okay. But because of UDIN, I could counter him immediately. I said, Baba, you are the press. You are the people who protect us. I worship you. But tell me one thing. You have that certificate, which you say is a false certificate. I have issued. And because of that, somebody got some benefit. Agreed. Please tell me what is the UDIN. No. I think blah, blah. I said, please tell the UDIN. Immediately he disconnected. After that, no connection. I have also not followed up. Why I am giving this example to you is how it protects us. See, this is how you have to protect yourself. If you simply say, I am an honest man, who will believe you? Your honesty should be proved beyond reproach. Whenever you get, that's why, though you all know UDIN, but you should know what is the power of that UDIN and why that UDIN is very, very important. Okay? It protects you. Like that, you should create a documentary support to prove. Tomorrow, if somebody is asking, have you withdrawn the consent? You have to show, I have withdrawn my consent. Yes, I gave my consent, I withdrew it. Okay? Now, so, then if you have withdrawn the consent, then you are not bothered. See, what could have happened? You might have got a rough copy of the prospectus, wherein they have not mentioned your entire opinion. They have given your opinion in a unfair representation or partial representation. Then you can object to them and say, look here, I cannot accept what you have done. You give the whole thing. No, I'm going to give only this. Then I will withdraw. Okay? So, yeah. As regards a misleading statement purported to be made by an expert. Now, this is the defense available to a non-expert, a director. Now, he is saying, look here, I relied on the expert. Chalo. You relied on the expert now. Then is it a correct and fair representation of the statement? Or is it Hashwadama Hataha? Did you add Kunjaraha also? Because that fellow told very clearly, Ashwatthama hataha kunjaraha. So he told the truth. Did you give the whole truth? Then it should be a correct and fair representation. You can't take something out of it and partly and put it here. See, sometimes if we take out of context, if we take two sentences, it will appear as if there is a support. Okay? Whereas the whole sentence, if it is read correctly, it will have a totally different meaning. Okay? So, in fact, many times people come and tell me, Mr. Srikanth, you told like that. That I will tell him only one thing. You told, I told, now. Please repeat what I told. He will tell something in his own words. I tell him, Baba, don't tell this. Repeat what I told in the English words that I used. Then, if he will not know, then I will tell him, this is what I told. This is what I have put in the email. Please read it. What I have told and what you are not telling, are they the same? No. Okay, so it should be a correct and fair representation of the statement. And he had reasonable grounds to believe and did up to the time of issue of the prospect believe that the expert was competent to make it and that the expert had given his consent under section 26(5) and that the expert had not withdrawn his consent before delivery of prospectus for registration or to his knowledge before allotment thereunder. See, the expert can always withdraw it later on also. I give my certificate, you take it, then you misrepresent it and put it in the prospectus. It is issued. Then I see it. I can withdraw it. So long as I withdraw my consent before the allotment. So if at any time the consent is withdrawn, then reliance on expert opinion will not be valid. If the consent withdrawn, you still carry that expert opinion where he has withdrawn the consent, then the expert is no longer liable. The liability will be with the concerned director. But if expert has made it and he has not withdrawn his consent, then expert is liable, the director is not liable. So this is one example by which people can shift the responsibility to an expert. Expert here, we already saw the definition of expert. I'm giving example of chartered accountant. Expert could be an engineer, expert could be any person who is an authority in a subject, a doctor, anybody, an architect, anybody could be an expert, right? To my knowledge, UDIN can be generated only by members in practice. They should be holding a certificate of practice. Okay, only then. See, suppose you are employed in a company, Baba, there are so many other methods of supporting. Why are you worried about UDIN? Suppose you are going to be employed in a company in a finance position. Believe me, most of you will be joining large organizations. Most of them will be using some ERP or the other, some SAP or ERP. So each of you will be given a login credential. Your user ID password will be there. That login credential is more powerful than digital signature because everything and anything and everything is now done online. So the minute you log in through your login credentials, you are bound. Suppose your login credential is your greatest support. Unless your login credential is that, anybody can go and do some nonsense, you won't be affected. So if you are in service, your login credentials become very, very powerful. Your username and ID become very, very powerful. You have to protect it like anything. Some of you in higher positions may also be given a digital signature. That also you have to be very, very careful. The digital signature should be very carefully used. It should not be casually given to anybody. Now, where there is a misleading statement, it's part of or copy of or extract from a report or valuation of an expert. It is part of the report or valuation of an expert. Then again, you have to say that it is a correct and fair representation of the statement or a correct and fair extract from the report. Okay. For example, if this is my words, not in the act. If the expert has provided risk factors or conditions which may affect his opinion, those also should be provided. The complete statement should be given, not only this. Correct? Yeah. Here is a small question. Let us see what answer you give. I've given a clue or a hint also. Let us see your answers. I'm sorry. Yeah. Go on, put up your answers. Correct. So the real question, this is actually a test of it. Now, some of you have asked me to do something. Today, it looks like I'm having a little free time. So what I'm going to do, today I'm going to spend some time on telling you how you can write answers for the exam. Okay? How you can write answers in the exam, right? When you are faced with questions, how to write answers. My view, you may have a different view. I respect that view. This is my view, which I've been using it consistently. It works. In law paper, this is meant for law paper only, not for computational papers. For law paper, now, in law paper, you have three types of questions. You have three types of questions. No, why cannot sue? Kanchan Kumari ji says, yes, why can sue? No, madam, why cannot sue? Why cannot sue? Because he bought it from X. So, what is one of the conditions we have seen earlier now? He has acted on the basis of a statement or omission in the prospectus and as a consequence thereof sustained loss. Because of that, he has to. Whereas here, Y has not relied on the prospectus. He only bought it from X. Therefore, he cannot file a suit. No, as Y relied on X, not on promoters. Don't say promoters, not on the, he did not rely on the misleading or untrue statement contained in the prospectus. You have to be very, very careful while writing answers. That is my humble request to all of you. Casual writing, of course, unfortunately, English is a foreign language. Okay? It is unfortunate that the examination is in English, though, of course, it is in Hindi also. Those of you who are writing in Hindi, remember, when you're writing answer for question in law, Hindi is also a foreign language for law, because most terms in law are English. So you will end up writing most of the terms in English with grammar alone, Hindi grammar. Correct. Even then you have to be very, very careful, because in law, every word is very, very important. You are better off writing in English. Okay, is the point. Coming to the point. Here's an example where Y did not rely on the prospectus. Okay, now, how will I write this answer? In the law papers, there are basically three types of questions. One type of question is theory, pure theory. Pure theory. I'm not covering multiple choice here. Multiple choice is one aspect. I'm leaving it there. Descriptive questions are of three types. One is pure theory. What are the defenses available for civil liability for misstatement in prospectus? What are the defenses for civil liability when there is a misstatement in prospectus? It's a theory. Believe me, however much Mr. Abdul might have a different view, to my knowledge, such questions are not asked in the CA exam anymore. Pure theory. Instead, what they will do, they will give you an example and say, advise the company on the procedure to be followed. For example, A Limited wants to, limited wants to change its registered office from, for example, Madhya Pradesh to Maharashtra. Some they might give a big story. They want to move it for, but I think from this place to that place, the city also they might give you. From Indore, they want to move to Pune like that. Chalo. Whatever it is. So all this is story. You read it. Finally, last line. Kindly advise the directors of Innocent Limited as to the procedure to be followed for shift in this regard. This is a theory question, but it is disguised as a problem. Problem in the sense it's given as a case study or story. But final line, what does it say? Advice. That means you have to write theory only. You have to write point by point, you have to write the procedure, which we discussed when I talked about incorporation, changing the register office from one state to another state. You know, the slide is there. 10 points, 7 points. You don't write paragraph. You don't write pages and pages. Okay? CA exam, you're not going to get marks for writing more and more pages. No. If content, point. Every point you'll get marks. Every gups up you write, you'll not get marks. They're reading points. They are looking for key indicators. Special resolution for amending the memorandum. Special resolution for shifting. Correct. Done. Application to the regional director. The regional director. Blah, blah, blah. So everything they'll keep on checking. Everything paka. Then within 30 days, you have to file the form, the relevant form with the department, with the Ministry of Corporates. Everything. If you write 6 marks or 5 marks or 4 marks, they'll give you 3.5 marks. Okay. So it is enough if you write points. Don't write paragraph and paragraph. Simple sentences, complete sentences. Don't write telegraphic language. Complete sentences. See, a complete sentence is one where it has an object, it has a verb, and it has a subject. Predicate, we call it. So object, verb, and a predicate. So if all are there, it is a complete sentence. Right? Okay. Now, coming to the point, third category is there, which is pure problem. Pure problem. How to approach a pure problem question, I will try to tell you now. I'm having a person who has entered this group. He has entered this, our group. He is Mr. Prabhas Jain. Definitely, I remember Mr. Prabhas Jain. He was very active student in an earlier batch. Okay, last batch. So the batch 5, you are all batch 6. Prabhas Jain, I still remember one of the, like our Alok or, our, not like giving names, don't think otherwise, who used to come, he used to be very active, Prabhas Jain. Hope you are doing well. Also hope that you remember me. I do. I would like to inform you that I have cleared both groups of winter in my first attempt. Thank you, sir, for teaching us. Bless me for my journey. Definitely, sir. Thank you for joining and informing us, giving us hope that we can also clear the intermediate exam and come through with success. I definitely bless you, and I pray to God that you should complete your final and finish your articles and go on with your life and be a very successful person. Thank you. So that's good. It's very heartening because the last about 15 days has been a joyous time for me because I've been receiving WhatsApp. I've been receiving, you know what, these guys go and find my mobile number from the LinkedIn and all. They do something. They get, I don't know, I've not shared. They keep getting it from various places and they send me messages saying they've cleared, they've passed and they got good marks. Some people send me the mark sheet also, 60 marks, 62 and all. Very, very happy, proud that these people, and it's 100% their effort. Not everything is their effort. Okay. Prabhas Jain, his effort, he got. Okay. Of course, as a teacher is like a catalyst. The role of a teacher is catalyst. Teacher cannot do anything, but teacher is a catalyst. Whatever I'm teaching, if the student understands, he doesn't fight the knowledge, he doesn't argue with the teacher, he runs with that knowledge, he uses what I'm telling positively, and he will clear. But simply telling, I am wrong, you will win, and what is the point? You have to clear the exam here, like Prabhas Jain. That is the goal here. Okay, I am wrong. Okay, what is that? Proving me wrong is not your goal. Clearing the exam is your goal. Be clear. So coming to the point, fourth type of question is where you have a problem. See, here is a classic example of a problem. How do I answer it? There is a 4-step method for answering a problem question. 4-step method. Lik dijiye na, you can write it down somewhere. Okay, 4-step method. Step 1, represent the problem. Represent the facts. You are like an advocate. You are arguing before the court. Judge. You have to show the judge why your case is of such and such a way. So, you have to represent. You have to rewrite this problem again. The facts should be represented. So, what is the important point here? X did not rely on the prospectus. He purchased the shares from Y did not rely on the prospectus. He purchased the shares from X. So, first line what I will write is, in the instant case, Mr. Y purchased the shares from X and therefore he did not rely on the prospectus. Got it? That is how you represent. Or he did not rely on he did not purchase the shares on the basis of or reliance of the untrue statement in the prospectus. Got it? First sentence. Second, very, very important. Write the law. Write the law. Okay? So here you have to say, compensation can be claimed by every person who has acted on the basis of a statement or omission in the prospectus and has, as a consequence thereof, sustained loss or damage. Second paragraph over. Second paragraph over. Third, apply the law to the fact. Apply the law to the fact. How you will do it? As in the instant case, Mr. Y has not used the exact words used here. Acted on the basis of a statement or omission in the prospectus, but has rather purchased the shares from X, it can be said that he is not entitled to claim compensation. Therefore, okay, got it? Now, it so happens that this view is supported by a British decision called Peake versus Gurney. Now, suppose you know Peake versus Gurney, or if you know about it, write it. This view is also supported by the decision in Peake versus Gurney. Good. If you don't write the sentence, nothing happens. You write it, you get 1 mark more, half a mark more. Finally, conclusion. What is the question? Read the question. Can Y sue the promoters of the company for rescission of the allotment and damages? Therefore, Y cannot sue the promoters of the company for rescission of the allotment and damages. That's all. See, I'm taking a simple example and I'm giving you this input. You can do this with any question. If you follow this 4-step method, your answers will be very coherent. Your answers will be logical. Your answers will be such that the examiner will be happy to give you maximum marks allotted to that question. For example, if 6 marks is allotted to that question, he will give you 4.5 to 5. Suppose you write Peake versus Gurney 5. Straight away 5. If your handwriting is neat and your English is reasonably good, 5.5 or 5. Sure 5. So, if you follow this format, your mark will be in the range of 4 to 5.5. 4 to 5.5 being an extreme outlier. Extraordinarily brilliant student. Neat handwriting. Brilliant. 5.5. Even if my handwriting is bad, English is not that good. No problem. So long as you follow this 4-step method and write reasonably intelligently, you will get 4 out of 6. Which is not bad. 4 out of 6 is good. Got it? 4 out of 6 is good. I will not underestimate 4 out of 6. Right? So, this is some of you have asked me to give you some inputs on this. Here and now I have given. In case you want to ask me any questions on this also, you can ask. Okay. Correct. Provisions of facts. Provisions, no. Right. Represent the facts. Represent the facts. I think you are not listening at all, Mr. Abdul. Your listening capability is very low. First, represent the facts. Then, suppose in this case, there is a provision. If there is a section there, write the section. If you know the section number, write the section number at the end of the thing in brackets. This is what I used to do. Because you may remember, you may not remember. Suppose you make it a habit to give the section number at the end in brackets. Even if you don't write, no problem. If you know, you write. That's all. Instead, if you begin the sentence, according to section blah, blah, that is wrong. Then immediately bad impression. Rather, you write, even if this at the end of the paragraph it is wrong, by then he's decided the mark to be given to you, he may not. And if it is correct, add another half mark. So this is all. So represent the facts, write the law, the provisions, or the whatever it is, principle of law involved, apply the principle to your facts, okay, and then give a conclusion. Conclusion should be exact answer to the last line of the question. I repeat, conclusion should be exact answer to the last line of the question. Okay, correct. Represent facts, write the provisions. Even if your conclusion is wrong, if you write the facts correct, if you write the provision correctly, you will get 40 to 50% of the marks. 40 surely you will get it. If you write the section, if you write the law correctly, later on you apply it wrongly, that is misfortune. You will lose some marks. But at least you will get 40% of the marks. If you write the law, then you apply it wrongly, that is unfortunate. Correct. You are absolutely correct, Mr. Alok. In the given this is happening, I call it as apply the law to the facts. Apply the law to the facts. Or in the given this is not happening also could be there. No? So based on in the given, whether this is happening or not happening, you will write your conclusion. Got it? So this is I thought since I had some free time today, I thought I could take this up and give you these inputs now. Hope I'm not exceeding my limit or exceeding my brief in giving you all these inputs. But it's nice that, Prabhas Jain came in, because this gives me some hope that in the last batch, I did all this type of nonsense. I used to share experiences. I used to give inputs about how to answer questions and all that. So that seems to have worked. Okay. Though sometimes students don't like it. You are paid to teach. Teach. Don't waste my time like that. They are also good. Okay. So I have given this input. You are absolutely correct, Mr. Alok. Good. One more problem. See, strictly speaking, in India now, okay, but you can still use this defense. Let us see. I think I'm going to have divided views here. See, if you go strictly by the defenses for civil liability, okay, is there a defense available? If you really look at it, withdrawal of consent, okay. So, strictly speaking, current legal framework in India, the allottees can file a suit. Okay. But there is a famous case called Derry versus Peake, where the court has held that this was not very material and that the intentions were honest. They honestly believed they could get it. By not getting that license, nothing has happened. The company can still continue to produce it even without that license. Therefore, there is no need to pay compensation. But if you say, based on the current law, that there is a misleading statement in terms of obtaining the license, which they have not obtained. Therefore, anybody who relied on this and suffered losses. Now that there comes the real next big question. Was there a loss? See, if you want to claim civil liability, compensation for civil, you should show that there is some kind of a financial loss. If there is no financial loss, then you cannot claim damages. Are you able to understand? Suppose the same question I would ask you, can a criminal complaint be filed against them? Can a criminal complaint be filed against them? What will your answer be? Can a criminal complaint be filed against them? Can anybody react to my question? In the same instance, can a criminal complaint be filed against them? Under section 34. Correct. Pranav has given a very nice, approach. He has very beautifully argued it. Very nice. Directors are not willing to fraud, but at the same time, it is not to be supposed to that they will firmly receive the license. So civil laws can be filed, but not criminal. Beautifully said. Beautifully said. Okay. No. Okay. Now, see, in the exam, don't write these single line answers. That's all. Here you get, okay, because of the notepad, the query pad is like that. In the exam, don't write single. Or you Supreme Court, even Supreme Court of India has to give a reasoned judgment. Supreme Court of India the Supreme Court judge cannot say, sorry, not allowed, like that. He has to give a reasoning. He has to give 2-3 pages of reasoning, discussion. Then only they can conclude. Okay. I don't know how many of you have read any real case law, the decisions. Okay. So the decision you might not have read. It so happens when I was about 28, 29 years old, started my practice, I needed money. So I became part of a project by which chartered accountants were asked to read case laws and extract the essence and give it in the form of conclusion and top note by a tax law publisher. Current tax reporter from Jodhpur. They hired me, and I was part of a team of about 15 chartered accountants. So we were given a target every day, 10 decisions I have to read from the past decisions. And I have to read it fully, and I have to extract the essence, say what topic, and then what is the conclusion of this decision. And I have to extract it in the form of paragraph. Brief facts, in the same way, facts, then what is the court's main quotation from the court's decision, and conclusion, the ratio, and any other case law which has been followed or rejected. Very interesting. I did about 2,000 judgments of the income tax, about 2,000 decisions of the income tax law. I read that happened in 1995 to 2005 years. I was doing this activity. So I'm telling you now, I'm reading a decision. You read a full decision. You will see how the judge follows the same method. You will see that they will give the whole facts. Then they will discuss the law as it is now. Then they will apply the law to this particular situation. And then finally, they'll give one paragraph. Therefore, we conclude that will be the decision. Okay? Then they will say allowed, not allowed. Like appeal, allowed, not allowed. Okay. So read a couple of decisions and you're without any commitment. Just read it as a casual interest. Read small decisions. Don't read some elaborate 400-page decision. Read 20 pages, 10 pages. Read. Because many of you here forget law. Company law is just a non-core subject that is there, mainly meant to give you a basic knowledge of law, especially company law, which you deal with. But income tax is something that you're going to live and die with. It's going to be one of your bread and butter if you're practicing. So there you read decisions, and you should learn how to read a decision, because suddenly some new decision will come on which you might want to rely. You have to read it fully and till the very end, and you should highlight which is the important. So in your appeal, you might want to include that decision and quote it and say that I am arguing this way. The same view is held by the Gujarat High Court in so-and-so, like that. In fact, I remember on CIT appeals, I was arguing the case. It was off the record. I was arguing the case. He told Gujarat High Court is wrong, or Gujarat High Court can be wrong. I told him, sir, you are a highly learned person. You pass the order in writing, but in that order, you have to put Gujarat High Court is wrong. He started laughing because he has no power. Because who can tell Gujarat High Court is wrong, you know? Who can tell? Only Supreme Court can tell. Nobody else can tell Gujarat High Court is wrong. Even Madras High Court cannot say Gujarat High Court is wrong. At best, what can they say? We respectfully dissent with the view held by our learned brethren in Gujarat. That's all they can say. They cannot say Gujarat High Court is wrong. Who can say Gujarat High Court is wrong? The Supreme Court can say. They won't say Gujarat High Court is wrong. Whatever decision taken by Gujarat High Court, they will reverse it. And they will give their logic. And with that, the Gujarat High Court decision will be no longer valid law. Okay? Will no longer be valid law. That's all. Even the Supreme Court will not say Gujarat High Court is wrong like that. Okay? They will say, we have appreciated the Gujarat High Court view, but we are of this opinion, blah, blah, blah. Then they will give their view and finally conclusion. With that, the Gujarat High Court decision will be reversed. It will no longer be binding law. Not only in Gujarat, but anywhere in the country, the Supreme Court decision will be the binding decision. Just I thought I could share some of these interesting points to you because I'm looking at most of you as future tax practitioners or experts in tax also, some of you. That is why. Fantastic. We are now moving away from prospectus to private placement of securities. As a time here, small, the time now is 7:45. As usual, we'll have a small break for about 5 minutes. Okay, 5 to 10 minutes. Right? We'll come back at 7:50. Is that okay? Sir, small break. break. For your information, I'm now currently in a city in Tamil Nadu called Madurai. If you know this, is one of the major cities of Tamil Nadu. Not the capital, of course. The capital is Chennai, where I reside. And this is a place called Madurai, where I'm now currently here. So some questions are there. What is meant by CG shall dispose the application? CG means central government. Dispose the application means take a decision, meaning either say it is allowed or not allowed, whatever. Disposing means to take a decision. So CG shall dispose means central government shall take a decision on the matter, meaning either allow or not allow, or take action or not take action. Whatever they are doing, that is called disposing. Okay. Correct. It is famous for Meenakshi Temple. Good. Our firm has a branch here in Madurai. So I come here for once in a month, 2 days or 3 days. So since being an online, I am able to take it wherever I am. Now, private placement, very interesting area. A new section. In fact, Chapter 3, Part 2, if you remember, is Section 42, single Section 42. Only one section in this part. Prospectus is in section up to Section 40. 41 is not there. 41 is, if I remember right, Indian depository receipts. It is not there in your syllabus. Then 42. So we have seen up to 40, if I remember right. Allotment and all that. We have seen up to 40. We finished allotment and then only we came to misstatement in prospectus. Right? So 42 deals with private placement of securities. Now, in the old law, if I can say that, if you can say old law, we call it the old law, 1956 law, there was no similar section. Rather, there was nothing similar. If at all there was any mention of private placement, it has to do with rights issue. They said if a company wants to go for a private placement, they should first offer the shares to the existing shareholders. That's all. Other than that, further issue of capital like that. There was something called further issue of capital, and that's it. Now, they have given a separate section for giving a guideline on private placement. What is private placement? I do not want to go to the public. Maybe, as some of you have pointed out, I do not have financials for 5 years. I do not have the financial strength to go for a public issue. Huge expenditure. So I want to sort of, restrict myself. And my need is also less. The amount of capital I need is less. So it is enough if I go to known people and some friends, etc., and I will get some money. That is called private placement. A private placement is a way of raising capital that involves the sale of securities to a relatively small number of select investors. Maybe instead of using the word sale, I might even use the word issue. Because that is a correct term. Now, sale may be giving a wrong view. Because you cannot sell something until it is allotted. So you are going to issue. You are going to think. Now what happens? Suppose I send a letter to all these people. Okay. If it is sent as a circular, if it is sent without any reference to all people, it will become a prospectus. So I have to specifically send it to identified people by name. Okay. And I have to send it to only a certain number of people. Only then it is private placement. I cannot misuse this provision to send a prospectus. So not the prospectus, who send some document talking about my company. But here it's a letter sent. Okay. A private placement is different from a public issue in which securities are made available for sale on the open market to any type of investor. Here, the private placement letters of offer will be sent only to selected people who are known, ideally relatives and friends, but okay, the word friend is very wide. Whoever helps me is my friend, yeah. So, but known person. I cannot send it to everybody, dear sir or madam, as the case may be. No, that is a circular. Automatically, it will become a prospectus. It has to comply with the requirement of prospectus, blah, blah. 26 straight away. But suppose you're sending it to named people. One of my early clients in 1993 was an alumni of XLRI and PSG Tech, and a very, very highly brilliant MBA, well established. He wanted to start a company in a very, very, very drilled down niche area where we created a huge brand and he went on to sell it at a huge price. First time when he wanted money, at the time in the 1956 Act, there was no provision for private placement. Okay, so we did not know what to do. No provision, but we know it can be done. So I suggested to him, sir, how will you raise money for this? He said, Srikanth, I need 3 crores. Okay, sir. How are you going to do it? He said, Srikanth, I've got friends. Those people who studied with me in PSG, those who studied with me in XLRI, people whom I know, my relatives, friends, all over the world, they've got surplus money. They trust me. They're willing to give their money to me. They will give their money on trust to me. So how do I access this? I said, no problem. So we drafted a nice letter and I very specifically told him, sir, and at that time, there was no limit. Okay. So we actually sent it to about 300 people. At the time, there was no limit. But every one of those 300 odd people were named by name. Dear, not just the name, his friend name he said, Dear Mukund, dear so-and-so. As you know, I have set up my own business and I'm enclosing projections for the next 5 years, which we made. And I'm giving you a fair estimate of the industry. He gave nice report. And I'm sure you would be interested in investing your money somewhere profitably. If you think this is a good idea and you would like to invest, I don't need much more than 25,000 or 10,000. Send it. I'll be more than happy to take it and we will allot shares to you. Each share is costing 15 rupees. He placed a small premium of $5 because the valuation was there. So 5 rupees, 10 plus 5, 15 rupees. Take it. So in fact, the first round, it was 10 rupees at par. Second round, we went 15 rupees. Now, the point I'm making is you will be very surprised. He thought he'll be able to raise about 1 crore or 2, okay, from all these people. But people simply sent money. They had confidence. He had more than what he needed. In fact, oversubscribed to private placement. And we sent some money back. We said, keep it. Next round, we'll take it from you. Like that. Okay. Of course, this company was so ethically run, so fantastically done. The brand was built and the brand went on to, I'm not going to name it for obvious reasons, name which company it is, but it was so fantastically run. They went on to get acquired and so on and so forth. That's this thing is. The point I'm trying to make here, my dear friends, is just a practical example on how private placement works. A small number of selected investors. Okay. Earlier, there was no limit. Okay. Now, PP is an offer issuing prospectus to public invitation to offer, sir. You're totally confused. You are confused. You are also confusing me. PP is not a prospectus. Prospectus is issued to the public, whereas private placement, it is called a letter of offer. Don't confuse this letter of offer with offer for sale. When you go public, along with the IPO, if the promoters or any member is also selling shares as part of the public issue process, that is called offer for sale. This is private placement. The letter which is sent for want of better name, I am calling it letter of offer for want of better name. Okay. So don't confuse with offer for sale. Always you are having this problem with offer for sale, Supradaji. Okay. Offer for sale, alag hai. It is when the company is going public, Along with the company, the promoter also offloads any members, promoter, any member, employee, they offload some of their shares through the modality called offer for sale. 28, section 28, we saw that. Okay. What I mean by offer, see, sometimes, when I'm using some words, don't catch me by the collar and say, how? What I meant was they had a need of a crore or two. They actually got 5 crores. So they got more than their need. So see the type of thing, if somebody else gets that 5 crore, what they'll do, they'll somehow create an opportunity for it to spend. Our man did not. He sent it back. And he said, I need only 2 crore now. Then the business expanded. 1 year later, they made better money. They gave dividend to the existing shareholders. With that record, they went again for the second round. Now they claimed a premium of 5 rupees, 15 rupees. Okay. So this is thing. In fact, I will let you in on one secret. At the time, the act was not having that disqualification by which an auditor cannot be a shareholder. When the first issue, 93, there was no thing. So I invested in that company. My money I invested. I had some poor chartered accountant. I didn't have much money at the time. So some money I had, I don't forget, 20,000 or something. Then the act was amended. And auditors should not, we will see that when you come to auditors. One of the disqualification was not hold even one single security in the company where he's auditing. So immediately I transferred the shares. They gave a window for us to, comply. So using that window, I immediately transferred it to my wife. As you'll be seeing it when I come to auditors. Relative can hold up to a threshold limit. Small amount, poor auditor. So my wife might not hold it, and subsequently she sold it at something like 20x of her investment. She sold it. 20x of the amount originally invested in the acquisition she got. When she sold it. Just giving you an example to help you understand. Don't always see the negative side of what I'm saying. Look at the positive side. What an honorable and honest entrepreneur who created wealth for himself and for the shareholders. This is what public issue and this is what private placement, this is what company form of organization is all about. It is meant to give a person like him who had no father, no rich father. He is not son of Tata. He is not son of Birla. He's an ordinary person from a small village in South Tamil Nadu. That man went on to become a successful entrepreneur with a national level company. That is what the company form of organization can do. Okay. A man like Dhirubhai Ambani, he can go on to create wealth for himself and for the shareholders. Okay. So long as you create wealth for the shareholders, nothing. It is not a sin to earn money. Okay. There is no sin in earning money. Okay. But there's sin in not sharing your money. Good. So that is what I meant by oversubscription. Okay. So in case I use the word oversubscription and you feel it's technically wrong, I will take it back. What I meant was, he got more money than he needed. Okay. Now, the very, very important point from the exam point of view, which you should know is, offer should be made to a select group of persons identified by the board, by name. Okay, each person's name, address, identity should be known. Okay, you cannot send to whomsoever may concern. If you have money, send it by GPay. We'll thank you for it and forget. You can give the money to us and you can forget it. No. Specifically, you should write, Dear Alok, how are you? I hope you remember me. Should be a letter. Okay. I mean, I'm just giving a format. You can be anything. Formal, informal, whatever. So long as it should be for a select group of persons identified by the board. The number of persons should not exceed 50 or such prescribed number. As usual, fellows will put one number in the section and then in the rule, they will give a higher number. Similar to small company. I don't know why the MCA wallas enjoy this behavior. Why not make it entirely in the rule or why not make it in the section? Why divide it? So somebody reading only the section will think it is 50. No. Currently, Rule 14.2 has prescribed 200 members, 200 persons. Okay. So private placement letter can be sent only to maximum 200 people. For counting 200, the following two people cannot be considered. One, QIBs. You already saw these ugly animals when we discussed shelf prospectus. Qualified institutional buyers are large investors, institutional investors like LIC, IDBI, You name it. Okay. They should not be included in this. If you can send letters to QIBs also, they can also invest, but for 200, we won't include these QIBs. Employee is being offered securities under ESOP. See, many times it so happens in my example, the gentleman whom I'm talking about, his current employees were with him. They invested. Each one of them came out rich. Okay. Sort of a mini Narada Murthy is what I'm talking about, but not in that scale. Not in that scale, but definitely in that level. In fact, 3 years down the line, 3 years down the line, he called me and he said, Shrikant, I want my accounts to be signed on 2nd of April. On 1st of April, can you do that? Service industry, chalo sir, no problem, we'll do it. We have a method, we'll do it. Because his logic was Infosys gets signed on 1st of April, why can't I do it? I said, sir, 1st of April, don't do it because 1st of April is All Fool's Day. Let's do it on 2nd of April. Okay, one day, 24 hours I go to 2nd of April. We used to sign it on 2nd of April. Okay, 2nd of April audit will be completed and signed. I'm just giving these examples not to confuse you, but to make you understand practically how it works. Corporate governance, ethics, concern for the shareholder, disclosure. That is what makes companies valuable. Big blue chips. Okay, cheating the public, telling wrong things, making quick money and showing it in the balance sheet and then projecting it and saying, I'll do it for another 10 years. Such things are what create bad value and bubbles in the market. Okay, so the number should not exceed 50 or such prescribed number. Rule 14.2 has prescribed currently 200. Okay, these two people cannot be considered ESOPs and QIBs. As I gave the point, employees can also be a very important source of funds. The above limit is to be reckoned separately for each kind of security. Meaning, suppose you want to issue equity shares, 200 equity shares. You want to also issue preference shares, another 200 for preference shares. So the limit is alag, separately for each. So 200 for equity, 200 for preference. Okay. Private placement for employees is not called ESOP. For the purpose of private placement, calculating this 200, you should ignore ESOP. ESOP is a totally different concept. We will see it when we come to share capital and debentures. When I teach share capital and debentures, specifically we'll talk about ESOP. ESOP is governed by a different section and also it is governed by rules. Okay, under those rules only, you have to make an ESOP. All that they are saying is when you're going for a private placement, you may send that letter. While counting 200, you should not count ESOP. Okay, is the point, right? I will ask in a different way. Who was the brilliant man who selected 1st of April as the beginning of the new financial year? Okay, which is why our enlightened Prime Minister is proposing to change the financial year from 1st of January to 31st of December. Internationally. Okay, so it so happens it is All Fool's Day. Whether you like it or not, it is April Fool's Day. Now, I will ask you, Mr. Pranav, who had this brilliant idea of making 1st April, that is called April Fool's Day, as the first day of the financial year? Think about it. I always wonder who was this brilliant person. There is our enlightened Prime Minister was proposing and is still planning to do it, shifting the financial year from 1st April to 1st January. Okay. Offer for private placement made whether by a listed company or by an unlisted company to more than the number of persons prescribed above shall be deemed to be a public offer, and part 1 of chapter 3 relating to content of prospectus, etc. to apply. So the minute you say it is more than 200, one man more, then that format of that offer letter should be, that public offer letter should be in the format of the prospectus as mentioned in section 26. The entire part 1 of chapter 3 will apply. So you have to be very, very careful in the 200. Better go less. Even one man more. See, you can send anything. You can send a 2-page letter. You can with annexure. No format, nothing for private placement. But the minute it goes above 200, you have to comply with the part 1. The format should be in the prospectus. It will be deemed to be a public offer. And part 1 of chapter 3 will apply. The private placement offer and application shall not carry any right of renunciation. Okay? Means normally when we go for a rights issue, later on I will tell you that when the company is going for a further issue of shares, it can make an offer. It has to make an offer of those shares to the existing shareholders. If those shareholders do not want to buy, they can renounce that right in favor of anybody. Anybody. Such a right is not available in private placement. Application shall not carry any right of renunciation. Be very, very careful. Private placement offer and application shall not carry any right of renunciation. For example, I am X. I'm getting a letter of offer for private placement. Instead of taking the share, I'm telling my son to apply. Not possible. The letter was sent to me, only I can apply. If I want my son, then son should also be included. Then 200 counting we have to say. So you cannot send the letter to more than 200 people. Be careful. Okay. Of course, if you want to make a private placement, it has to be previously approved by a special resolution for each offer. When you are passing a special resolution, later on when you come to management and administration, you will understand that every special resolution should have an explanatory note. Also, special business also should have an explanatory note. So that explanatory note should provide information, including justification for price. And in case you are getting it valued, what is the details of the valuer? Who is he? Registered valuer, etc. Once you pass a special resolution, the special resolution along with the explanatory note, etc., will be filed with MGT 14 within 30 days. It becomes a public document. Anybody can go and see it. They can understand it this way. Okay. So, see, the whole point is anybody who is going to invest in the private placement should do it with open eyes, is the point. But of course, be careful. In prospectus, we protect you a lot. We ensure that he gives a lot of information which you would normally not give. But in private placement, this is not there. They may give statements which may not be truthful. Who has to protect himself or herself? The offeree. Okay? Whoever receives the offer should protect. Okay? Government will not protect. Because it is not a prospectus. Okay? You can't go under the convenient route of 34-35. If there is a fraud, you will have to go only under the common law. You don't have the protection of 34 and 35. Okay? In case you are issuing NCDs, non-convertible debentures, where the amount does not exceed the limit prescribed under section 180. 180 is in the final syllabus. For your information, 180 limit is the amount to be borrowed through the debentures. The amount to be borrowed through the debentures should not exceed the value of the debentures to be issued together with the existing borrowings. The value of the debentures now being issued together with the existing borrowings should not be more than the paid up capital and free reserves of the company. This is the limit prescribed under section 180. Section 180 will come later on in your syllabus. In final, you will study it. Section 180, 1C, where you will find this happens. The value of these debentures, amount to be raised on these debentures, together with the existing liabilities, debts, total, should not be more than the paid up capital and free reserves. If you want to exceed it, then for that again, you have to pass a special resolution. But if the limit is, if you're not exceeding the limit, then no need for special resolution. Just a board resolution is sufficient. But if it is exceeding, then you have to pass a special resolution for private placement and also for exceeding the limit under section 180. Okay. Where the amount of NCD is exceeding this 180 limit, then they are saying, if you are going to do a series of debentures, a single annual special resolution is sufficient for all issues. Suppose you are not collecting the whole money in one shot, series of debentures. Then, again, we are talking about private placement, not about public issue. It's a private placement. A private placement offer cum application letter shall be in the form of an application in form PAS4. It should be serially numbered because we have to keep track. So whoever got 200, suppose somebody has 203, gone. It's exceeded 200. And address specifically to the person to whom the offer is made and shall be sent to him either in writing or in electronic mode within 30 days of recording the name of such person in the board resolution or in the special resolution. From that date, you have to send it within 30 days. No person other than the person so addressed is allowed to apply. No renunciation. The company shall maintain a complete record of private placement offers in form PAS 5. Complete record of to whom it was sent. It becomes a part of the company's permanent record. Allotment is to be made within 60 days of receipt of application money. On failure to do so, the money should be repaid within 15 days of the expiry of 60 days. So we send a private placement letter. We keep getting money now. That allotment should be made within 60 days of receipt of the application money. In case the allotment is not made within that 60 days, then the money will have to be repaid within 15 days of expiry of 60 days. Interest at 12% for delay in repayment beyond 60 days. Okay, up to 60 days, no interest. Beyond 60 days, you have to pay interest at 12%. Return of allotment in form PAS3. Do you remember? Any allotment you make, you have to file it to the registrar within 15 days. Somebody was asking PAS3, it should be filed within 15 days. Okay. The monies, that is the amount, cannot be utilized unless allotment is made and return of allotment is made. Till then, the money should not be utilized. If the person has died, then legal heir. Very, very technical question by Ms. Suprada. Wonderful question. Estate can apply, not legal heir. There's a slight difference between legal heir and estate. See, when somebody dies, what remains is called the estate. That estate will have to be distributed amongst the legal heirs. So the estate will be represented by the legal heir. That legal heir who is representing the estate can apply. If, say, offer was made, okay, offer was made, you have time to apply. Before that time, the fellow to whom the offer was made died, then the estate can make an application. Okay, estate. The legal heir representing the estate can make an application. Why not? Estate, not the legal heir. Estate. Able to understand the point? The estate is different from the legal heir. When a person dies, the day he dies, all his assets will thereafter belong to his estate. Now there will be an executor or somebody who have to come and distribute it to the legal heirs. Then it becomes a legal heirs. So only then the legal heir can apply. Till then, only the estate can apply through the legal heir. Got it? So you have asked a very, very technical question and I have given you a very, very technical answer. Okay. But it can be done. It can be done. I am having another problem here. One gentleman sold his house. Okay. Before he can make the investment under section 54, our man has died. Now who will make that investment? It's a similar question. Very interesting question. Under section 54. Who will make that investment? Okay. In whose name it will be made? Same case. He sold the property. Now he has to invest under section 54. Before that investment, even before the capital gain scheme deposit can be made, our man died. These people are dying in an inconvenient time. Okay. They should not die. Okay. That is my conclusion. Okay. So, during the duration, they should not die. Something like that, we should pass a law. Okay. Sorry, I'm just joking. Don't take me very seriously. Sometimes I'll make crazy statements like this. Okay. If a CIT appeals can say Gujarat High Court can be wrong, I can also make statements like this. Okay. Now, very, very important. No fresh offer. No fresh offer. Unless allotment has been made on earlier offer or invitation or the same has been withdrawn or abandoned. Very, very important. So I sent it to 200 people. Either the 200 people should apply, I make the allotment. Or 150 apply, or 75 apply, or 80 apply. Balance abandoned or withdrawn. So if you want to make a fresh, what you should do, you wait for 60 days. then you send a letter to all of them by registered post or mail saying this offer stands withdrawn. Okay, then automatically you can go for a fresh private placement offer. Very important. No public advertisement or media publicity to be given. The operative word is private. So when it is private, you cannot make any advertisement. Right? Suppose you are inviting your friends for your birthday party. How will you do it? By sending an invitation letter to them, na? Personally. Ideally, you will put it in their name only. Na? Will you give advertisement in the Hindu? So I hope not, unless you are a very big shot. Even then, you will be worried. Na? Then everybody like me can barge into the party. So private. Private means no public advertisement or media publicity. Okay, thank you, Mr. Thakur, for that unexpected compliment. Thank you very much. And always. There is no minimum subscription here. No. Ledu, not there. Okay, no minimum subscription. Don't confuse. Nothing. Okay, what you want to collect. I gave that unfortunate example. I regret. The client had some amount in his mind as the amount he wanted to raise. That is all. I made a mistake in telling that. I'm sorry. Take it away from your mind, Subrataji. Minimum, whatever. There is no prescribed minimum subscription. Even if you're sending 220 people accept, no problem. Balance abandoned or withdrawn, again go for fresh. No problem. Okay. Right. Offer or invitation for subscription to security shall not be made to a body corporate incorporated in or a national, that is citizen of a country that shares land border with India, Pakistan, China, Myanmar, Bhutan, Nepal, Bangladesh. I don't know if Afghanistan is to be included. I may be wrong. I think it is not. I don't think Afghanistan has a land border with India, but these countries have a land border with India. If you see the map of India, Pakistan, China, Myanmar, Bhutan, Nepal, and Bangladesh. I have been to Bhutan, I have been to Nepal and Bangladesh. I'm yet to go to Myanmar, China, and of course, I don't know whether I will be allowed to go to Pakistan. Anyway, but if you are a Sikh, one of the greatest, monument is there in Pakistan. The birthplace of Guru Nanak Sahib is there. Okay, if you want to go there, you have to go to Pakistan. It is in Pakistan, if I'm not wrong. So if you are a true Sikh, you better go to Pakistan once at least. This is the greatest pain of partition, that you have to come away from all that. And see, it's in Pakistan, rightly or wrongly. Similarly, Babur, who ruled India, his burial, his mausoleum is not in India, it's in Afghanistan. Okay? It is in Afghanistan, not in India. The rest of them in India. All the other Bhagas are in India. Humayun is in India, Delhi mein. Akbar is in Fatehpur Sikri. Jahangir is in, if I'm not mistaken, again in Agra only. And Shah Jahan, of course, we know where he is, in the Taj Mahal. Aurangzeb is in Aurangabad, along with his Bibi Ka Maqbara. He is there. Okay. So only Babur is out of India. Okay. Anyway, so this is something, out of our paranoid thing we say, no private placement offer should be made to a body corporate incorporated in or a national of a country that shares land border with India. Okay, unless that body corporate or national has obtained a government approval under the Foreign Exchange Management Non-Debt Instruments rules and has attached the same with the private placement offer come later. So this is a very recent amendment in 22. It came in 5th May 22, by which they said you cannot do this. And suitable changes have been made in form number PAS 4, for which there is a clause where he has to say, I am not a body corporate or a national incorporated. Correct. Sindhis have lost much more. Okay, much more than that. I'm not trying to get into politics, but the pain is there. Okay, see, politically you can justify, not justify. The pain is there. Okay, the pain is greater. Okay, so here we go with the question. Let's see if you can answer it. And that could be the last question in the allotment time limit. Means once the money comes, you have to allot the share. There is a board meeting should be held and the share should be allotted to him within 60 days of receipt of the application. That is what it means. Okay. So you'll be getting the money on different dates. So you should see to it that you collect them together, and before the expiry of 60 days, you should hold a board meeting and pass a resolution for allotment, update the register of members, send him the share certificate. Okay. Or if it is dematerialized form, update the records of the depository and advice will go to him through the DB. Okay. That is what allotment. This should be done within 60 days of receipt. Receipt of application money means credit in the bank account. From that date, within 60 days. Matsya Hotels Limited made an offer of 50 lakh equity shares of rupees 1 each to 150 identified persons on private placement basis. And accordingly, a letter of offer accompanied by application form was sent to them after fulfillment of due formalities, including passing of special resolution. One of the applicants, Mr. Ghanshyam Vyas, made a written complaint to the company stating that the offer letter was incomplete as well as illegal, as it did not contain renunciation clause, as he wanted to exercise his right of renunciation in favor of one of his sons, Radheshyam Vyas. Which is the correct option? This is the MCQ question. As the right of renunciation cannot be denied, the company needs to rectify its mistake. The company is prohibited from providing right of renunciation, so offer letter and application form need not include any such clause. Instead of absolute prohibition, the company can provide right of renunciation limited to 25% of offering. Wow. Instead of absolute prohibition, company can provide right of renunciation limited to 50% of offering. Okay. So which is the correct choice? The correct choice is B. Okay. B. There is the right of renunciation is prohibited. Offer cannot have a right of renunciation. Private placement penalty quickly. If there is a default in filing return of allotment, absolutely correct. B is the correct answer. Default in filing return of allotment for each default means why each default? The money will be coming on different dates. So on the expiry of 60 days, one default. Another like that. So every default penalty. On who? Company, promoters and directors. What is the amount of penalty? 1,000 rupees per day during continuance of default with an upper ceiling of 25 lakhs. Making an offer accepting money is in contravention of section 42. There is more than 200 people or anything contravening, then company, promoter and directors, the amount of penalty is the entire amount raised or 2 crores, whichever is lower. Okay. Amount received to be repaid within 30 days of imposing penalty. Also, in case there is any contravention of this section, that offer will be deemed to be a public offer. And with associated legal consequences. In addition to these penalties, you will also suffer penalties under part 1 of chapter 3. Because the format is not there, you're not, so 26 violations straight away. All that will also happen. Okay. So if you're going to make a private placement, be very, very careful. This is the conclusion we derived, and I'm very happy. We had a wonderful session, and I hope you have learned. I thought I could work out the problems on incorporation that I had sent to you. I had sent an assignment on incorporation. I will be sending another assignment for prospectus. Okay? Maybe when we do share capital and debentures, if we have free time, I will do everything. I will work out all the problems in one session. Okay? Thank you. Have a great evening ahead. And have a great weekend. Enjoy. Bye.